When we're stitching, there are two approaches. Some cameras have got an automatic panorama built into them, and they're great fun. The other option is to do it manually, where you're going to take a series of photographs, all overlapping, and then software joins them together later on. One of the things that you need to think about is when you're doing a stitch is, do you want to have a panorama that's going to be 180 degrees or 120 degrees, or do you want a 360 degrees? Either way, you need to give some consideration to your exposure, focus, etc. First of all, when you're setting it up, put your gear underneath your tripod, and a tripod is a good idea. Second, manual everything. Manual focus, because as you go around, you don't want the focus to change. It's manual exposure, because you want the exposure to be consistent from frame to frame as you go around. Finally, if you've got a tripod and it's got spirit levels, this can be really useful for leveling the camera support so that as you spin around, everything is even. If it's not, you find that you get a wave in the horizon, and we want to avoid that. Back to the homestead. Let's see how we can put these images together. So my head's still going around after doing all those 360s. I'm sitting down again with my Wacom Mobile Studio Pro. I've got Adobe Lightroom open. To select the images for the 360-degree stitch, select the first image, hold down the Shift key and select the last one. And I've got 16 images here. We then go up to Photo, we come down to Photo Merge and across to Panorama. Lightroom opens up with a number of options. It gives you spherical, cylindrical, perspective. I found on this particular image that only spherical and cylindrical worked better. It takes a little while to build the preview. The more photos you've got, the longer it's going to take. And all I have to do is press the button, Merge. So here we have it, a wonderful 360-degree panorama. And you can see the Tone River coming from the left and going through to the right. You can even see my shadow in there. Later that day, we took another photograph a little bit higher, and I think this one is possibly more successful in terms of composition. It's now just a matter of working it into a cohesive photograph, and we're going to do that by lightening and darkening. We're going to check the white balance once again, we check the exposure, and I'm going to darken it down just a fraction because I want the foreground here to be a little darker, and then I'll lighten up the middle later on so that the eye goes into the picture. However, before we do that, let's just refine the sun. It's just a little bit bright in that cloud over there, so let's grab a graduated filter, drag from the top and down. You can see it's darkening the image, and so now when I look around the picture, I've got a dark top, a dark bottom. I've naturally vignetted the image. Now we can grab my favourite tool, the adjustment brush, drag through to almost the left-hand side. So I'm just going to lighten the image up a little bit, like that. Grab the colour saturation, move that to the right, and that'll just increase the colour in the middle there and bring the eye into that part of the image. And that's more or less it. There we have it, a 360-degree panorama, lovingly edited in Adobe Lightroom. It's all looking pretty good. Photography is all about capture and post-production. I'm Peter Eastway.